This is not supposed to be a tutorial on how to do things, because this is not Body Shop for beginners, this is basically Body Shop by a beginner. Ciao, I'm Mario, a Swiss car guy on YouTube, and a couple of weeks ago I painted the parking sensor on my 2008 Lexus LS600H. Back then I said I was going to do a quick job, I wanted to make it functional and not pretty, and I think that's what happened. It's very not pretty and reasonably functional. And when I say reasonable, I mean in some weather condition, when it's damp, when it's wet, the sensor will still not work properly, and the reason is because of my very bad paint job. In fact, I put a blob of paint on it, and I think that's too much paint, and it prevents the sensors from oscillating at the proper frequency, and in some instances it won't work properly. Therefore, today I decided I'm going to do it better. In fact, my plan is to put 2 light coats of primer on it and then airbrush the proper paint on. And for this I bought a battery-powered airbrush, which apparently is used for cosmetics, which is certainly not what I ordered it for. And upon receiving it, I realized that this thing is called the Little Fairy Oxygen Injector. So I'm trying to airbrush some paint onto it. And since this video is going to be pretty short in my view, at the end of the video I will be Breaking Bad. No, wait, I'm already a criminal. No, I mean I will be baking bread. Anyway, let's not waste too much time and let's start.
First, I start by masking off the sensor. I'm trying to make a round shape here using straight bits of masking tape. Sure, with more flexible, thinner masking tape I could make a better contour. But this is all I have and I'm not after perfection anyway. Next, I try to sand off the blob I applied previously with 600 grit sanding paper. Dry sanding does not work great, so I try wet sanding. Pro tip: do not apply masking tape before you sand, as the tape disintegrates. So I take it back off and continue sanding without it in place. I don't take the entire sensor to bare metal, as sanding the edges is just too difficult. No, seriously, with my clumsy fingers I will end up taking too much paint off the surrounding bumper, which I already have a little bit. As long as I don't have that blob on the sensor anymore, I'm happy. Plus, since it's smooth, the primer should cover it up anyway. So here we go again with the masking tape. In order to protect the surrounding area, I'm covering it up with an old shopping bag. I realize that there are proper materials for that, but again, this is what I had lying around. I wipe the sensor clean with some panel wipe to get the dirt and grease off and give the primer a better chance to stick. I'm using white primer because, well duh, it's a white car, but also the paint on the Lexus is pearl, which means it's basically a clear lacquer with white pearl particles suspended in it. That paint is therefore quite transparent and does not cover a lot. I let the primer dry for 15 minutes between coats. 2 light coats of primer were not enough to cover up the difference between the bare metal and the still painted outer edges of the sensor. So I spray on a 3rd coat. And now it's time for the Little Fairy. I mix some paint from my little touch-up pot, 1:1 with paint thinner, as I reckoned that unthinned paint would probably be too thick for the Little Fairy. And here we go on my first airbrush experience. Paint did come out and looked quite okay, but it was just a very light mist and very difficult to see. I don't know if it's supposed to work like that. Maybe I should have thinned the paint more, or maybe less? Maybe it's operator error, or maybe the Little Fairy with its $22 price tag and the misspelled manual just isn't a good airbrush. Who knows? If you know, please comment down below. I then let it dry for 50 minutes and then applied a 2nd coat that, for some reason, I did not film. After another 50 minutes, I removed the masking tape, as this is it. I did not apply any clear coat, as the pearl paint already basically is a clear coat with some particles in it. Also, this is just a parking sensor and it already took me long enough. Since the masking was not perfect, there is some overspill onto the silicone ring around the sensor. It does not affect the sensor's function and I will scrape it off later on. Or never, depending on how much it bothers me. So here we are. It's far from a perfect paint job, but it's a lot better than my first attempt. And I'm sure this will not give me any problems, no matter what the weather conditions are, as it is a thin and relatively even coat of paint.
Okay, so here's the result. I think it's pretty good. It's not a perfect color match because, to be honest, the paint I had to begin with was never going to be a perfect match, but it's very smooth. I think it looks good. It works great. Anyway, that's it. The parking sensor is improved. There will be more jobs on this car in the future because stuff is breaking. It's an old car, even though it's a Lexus. And anyway, if you like this video, please consider subscribing, leave a like, maybe comment down below on the jobs that you do on your cars and whether you know how to do this job better. I didn't take off the bumper because on these cars there are many clips under the bumper, and if you take them off they can break and then the bumper will never fit again, even though this bumper already doesn't fit great. Anyway, enough for this video. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, and now let's bake bread.